Hey guys, Alex here from Computer Headquarters, and today's video is going to be about water cooling a Titan RTX. And some of you guys out there may be thinking to yourself, what the heck is a Titan RTX? Because it kind of would have gone past your radar if you're a gamer, or you may have seen an article about it years ago that would have probably been something along the lines of save your money, because this is a huge waste of your money if you're a gamer. So the Titan RTX was kind of somewhere closer to like a Quadro as far as the marketing goes. They were $2,500 when they came out, and actually I'm checking something real quick. I don't remember the release date off the top of my head. I'm going to type it in right now on my computer. Titan RTX release date. Typing with one hand. 2018. So it's about 4 years old now. And they were, yeah, $2,500 as I mentioned, really expensive. And any gamer that would have been interested in something along this performance line goes, like they would be interested more in the 2080 Ti because it's pretty much the same performance for gaming. Even like the tensor cores, for instance, this has, I think it was like 570 tensor cores. The 2080 Ti has like 540 or something like that. It's almost the same. If you look at benchmarks, they're almost the same. Like everything's almost the same. And on top of that, like you get 2080 Ti from a bunch of different brands with the cool designs and RGB, blah, 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 whatever you want. And there's only one version of this, which I think is pretty cool, but it's like this gold looking fan type of deal. And this one has a bent bracket right there. So this is a used one we got from a vendor. I actually bought two of these and they were a good price. They were only $500 each and they both work, but this one, I think the cable that goes between the fans and the board was disconnected or broken or something, and that works out perfectly because I happen to have a 2080 Ti water block here from EK that was on my 2080 Ti from a while ago, and my understanding is this fits this. And we also have the SR3 dark motherboard right here that I wanted to do a water cooled build with, and I think this would be a good card to put in there with this water block. So that's the plan. Either this card will go water cooled with that board, or it'll go with a Asus Dominus Extreme. So I have to build two systems that are going to be similar. They'll both from the same era. The Titan RTX is kind of like the king of the cards that you could get at that time, but most people weren't stupid enough to spend that much money. So years later, when I'm getting these things for cheap, it's fun to make a build, just kind of more for collections and stuff like that. But they'll also be used by employees for like gaming off the clock, so that's good. And if you're disgusted by these gross towels over here, and you haven't seen my video about this computer exploding and blowing liquid all over itself, you can go look at those videos. This is my makeshift setup right now until I get everything back together. But it's working, at least everything's working, and I did not lose any components. Nothing broke, so that's good. Anyway, so Titan RTX, I'm gonna take off this back plate, and I just kind of want to show you guys the card before I take it apart, and just kind of point out the fact that I would let you guys watch me take it apart, but I don't have a tripod right here, and I don't have time to go do all that, so I'm just gonna take it apart and show you guys afterwards. But I've taken apart a lot of video cards to put water blocks on, and this one has an annoying amount of screws, and so do most other Founders Edition cards. They really like to go crazy with the screws. So like, I guess we could just count here: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, plus the 4 main screws, so that's 20. Sometimes there are more screws you have to take apart. We'll see when I get there. I'll get there, but there are 2 like Allen head bolts right here, one here and one here, as well as 2 more there, 2 more there. I'm guessing we won't have to take those apart to get to the card, but I'll let you know when I've gotten that far. But I showed you guys in a recent video, probably depending on when things get posted, probably my last video, we have a water cooled test bench that we put together, and I'll have to throw this on that just to make sure everything's working correctly before we put it in the build. And just because we're here, we might as well. This is actually a Titan V with a aftermarket water block on it that's made by Heat Killer. This thing is really, really heavy. A lot heavier than that Titan RTX. And I think I'm guessing it's just the heat sink itself. Sorry, the water block is what I'm trying to say. This still has some of that gross liquid inside of it. You can see the tubing turned all yellow for some reason from the coolant when it exploded or whatever. Anyway, Titan V needs to go back into my main system. I like that card. It's very finicky though. If you try to like overclock it or change anything, it blue screens every single time, or just restarts or whatever. So, and also it will, sometimes the screen will go black and flicker. So it's, yeah, that doesn't sound great, does it? But it's a good card, or it's been a good card for me. I've had it for like a year or something. I think I got a good deal on this one too a while back. But anyway, I'll take this apart and come back. So I got the back plate off. I'll just show you the back plate. Boom, boom. It's a very thin aluminum. Has a bunch of why am I forgetting what the thermal pads? There we go. Bunch of thermal pads on it. One of the thermal pads stayed stuck to the PCB. Anyway, so I was kind of thinking, okay, I got that off, and then I removed the 4 GPU retention screws. I also like how everything is like gold plated. It's kind of funny. I've literally never seen that before. All gold plated hardware. So I took the 4 screws off thinking that the PCB would now separate from the heatsink, and it doesn't. So if you look at the PCB here, I'm guessing, I could be wrong, but I'm thinking that there's going to be something holding down the cooler to the PCB on the other side, and I probably do have to take out all of these other screws to take the fan shroud off, and then I probably have to, there's probably gonna be like cutout holes in the heatsink that I can slide a screwdriver into and then like release the heatsink from the PCB. So yeah, that's not fun, but whatever, it's only either 4 or 8 more screws, so I'll go ahead and get to that and come back. Wow, just wow. I cannot believe the design of this video card. It is so stupid. Sorry, the way that you have to take it apart is stupid. I feel like they really didn't want you to take this apart. So I showed you the back plate, how easy that was to get off. It was quite a few screws. I think I counted 20 screws, and then it still wasn't budging after I took out the 4 GPU retention screws. So I kept looking, and I was like, okay, well, I probably need to take the heatsink off, sorry, the fan shroud off. So I took all 8 of those gold bolts out, Allen screws, whatever, 2 there, 4 on the face there, 2 on the side, 2 on the other side, right? Nothing happened there. Then I looked at the whole card again, thinking, okay, I missed something. Sure enough, I did. There was 1 screw there and 1 screw there. Okay, I got those out. At that point, the end could kind of, you could see into there a little bit. You can, let's see if I can show this with the camera. Yeah, I can't do it with one hand, but you can kind of see that that gap wasn't there before. And I can also see that the cables in there for the fans, I think they actually were loose. Maybe you can see, yeah, you can kind of see right there. I think they came unplugged somehow. So that's fine because we're not going to use them anyway, but still nothing was working, right? So I'm like, okay, there's got to be more. What can I do? So I'm going to try to put this back before I show you. Yes, I think I can do this with one hand. Yeah, okay, so I looked at the IO area and I saw that there were 1, 2, 3 big screws, and then there were 4 other smaller screws that were like, go to the top of like the HDMI display ports. They put those on there so that if you have a locking cable, you can take that screw out, put a locking cable in there, and put the screw back in. That way your cable can't get tugged out. Anyway, so I left the locking screws. Still nothing happened there. So I looked all over the card again, and I'm like, well, the only thing I could think of is that they're hiding screws underneath the IO plate, and I need to take out the 4 other screws that are for the locking HDMI and display port, and maybe there's something under there. Yep. 1, 2 more screws under the IO plate hiding. I cannot believe that they decided that was the way they're going to build this card. So I don't even know if that's going to be the end of it, but I'll come back. This is the part where I say to myself, you should have looked up how to do this before you tried. Usually if it's a video card and you're taking it apart, I've done it so many times that it doesn't matter. You just figure it out as you go. You just take all the screws off, and sometimes you take too many off, but you put them back. It's no big deal. Well, this was a situation that was way different than anything I've ever seen. And I got all of these screws off everywhere, screws there, and I became convinced that it was still being held under this Titan RTX logo right there, underneath that. And I started looking at it, and then see how there's a divot right there? I was convinced that this black part needs to be popped off, and there's probably screws underneath it. So I was trying really hard, using little tools and stuff to try to pop that off, and it wasn't really working. I was getting frustrated, and one of my employees looked up a video and they showed how to do it. And the big thing is that all of these little guys right there, those are like bolts or nuts, I guess you would say, and they do happen to be the same size as a small screwdriver, the head that would like work with those type of guys. So I can get them off, but it's just kind of ridiculous. Like, I already taken, I think, 30 screws out, and there's going to be another like 12 of these nuts. So I will come back again after that. Okay, so it's off, right? Once I got all 14 of these screws out, we're good. Pretty gross looking, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it's 4 years old, I guess, so what do you expect? But there are a lot of bubbles on here. Maybe that's just from taking it apart. And very dirty from the thermal pads. Looks like they use two different types of thermal pads. Some of them are kind of wiry looking and goopy, and the others are more what I'm used to, which are the... I will just point to them. I'm more used to a thermal pad that's like this. There's also some, I think, thermal paste right there. So there's like thermal paste, this thermal pad, and then this weirder. This is like Play-Doh. It's very strange, and it has fibers in it. Anyway, so here's the card, and it's gonna need a thorough cleaning. I'm also really confused about that right there. My initial reaction to that was, oh my god, did I rip one of the memory chips off of the board? Because it's missing. And if this was a 2080 Ti, that I would have expected that, because that would be the correct amount of chips. But I was expecting there to be all 12 chips, and then possibly maybe there are even 12 on the back, because this is a 24 gig card. So my only guess here, and I don't know why they would have done this, but my guess is that there are 10 chips that are 2 gigs, and there must be one chip, maybe this guy all by himself over here, that must be 4 gigs? I don't know. I didn't even know they made 4 gig chips of GDDR6 back when they made this card 4 years ago. They must have, because that's the only thing that makes sense, right? So I guess I'll make another break here, and I'll put the water block on and show you guys the card when it's cleaned and with the water block and all that good stuff. Bye. Surprise, surprise. This video just took quite the twist, and maybe I'm going to be, I don't know, maybe I'll title the video something about this now that I know. See that right there? TU102-300A-K1-A1. That is a code for a 2080 Ti. This is not a Titan RTX. This is a 2080 Ti. And my assumption is it's a Founders Edition. That's probably why all the screw holes matched up perfectly with that Titan RTX heatsink fan. So yeah, this was a scam. You could say I got scammed, but the truth of the matter is that the vendor sold me, 1,000 video cards at once. There were 2 Titan RTXs in the mix. He probably had no idea that it was a scam. I don't think he did. I think that they just plugged it in, saw it worked, saw it said it was a Titan RTX, and sold it to me as a Titan RTX. No big deal. 1 card out of 1,000. So I'll just tell him, hey, here's the story. I'll explain it to him. And the funny thing is, whoever did this trick, they didn't plug in the fan all the way, and that was what caused me to say, what's going on here? If they would have just plugged that fan in, I bet you so many people I bet you a lot of people between me and whoever did this didn't know any better or whatever. So I'll get some money back, and I'll put The plan, just so everyone knows, we're not selling this. This isn't going for sale. This isn't going to go into a computer that we're selling to a person. This is for my personal collection, the company's collection, whatever you want to call it. We have a lot of cool computers that we have that the employees use for kind of like a LAN area here on site, and we play games and stuff sometimes at night or on breaks, and we kind of just continuously upgrade them, and we like to keep a lot of the cool like unique cases and things of that nature, harder to find parts, and so someone that will just might be playing, you know, whatever game they're playing. It could be Minecraft for all I know, and they might be playing that with an SR3 dark motherboard and some pretty cool trick stuff, but at the end of the day it's just a computer that's really like a collector. It's a collection that we use. So anyway, I'm gonna probably put all this stuff back together, get a refund, and I'll probably just still put this into the SR3 or the Dominus Extreme just like it was, and it'll say it's a Titan RTX. It'll look cool, and the performance is basically the same thing, so no one's ever really gonna know the difference here at work. So no big deal. Maybe, you know what, maybe we'll even try to put them in SLI. I don't know if you can SLI a 2080 Ti and a Titan RTX. You probably can't, but maybe it'll look like it was at least, and only one card's working. I don't know. But again, this is cosmetic stuff. This is for a collection, for fun. But putting the water block on it at this point, I don't know. It just doesn't feel as cool anymore. So I might not do that, but I got time to think about it. There's no rush here. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and got a laugh out of all this, and maybe some of you guys even saw this in the last people that know about this stuff probably immediately went like, oh my gosh, you got scammed. That kudos to you guys that caught that before I did. Anyway, I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.